Hey everybody, Cameron here at Plotter. I know we have a lot of templates in Plotter and that may be overwhelming, but if you're a beginning writer, I'm going to help you to see which template to use. So the first one I want to show you is called the 7-point plot structure. And I like this one because it was one of the first ones that I found way back when I first started writing. It's very simple and you can easily see examples of it in popular literature like Harry Potter. And in fact, there's a series of videos, a playlist of videos that Dan Wells made to explain this template, and in a series of talks that he did where he uses examples like Harry Potter and I think Star Wars to show this. And it's very simple, and that's one of the reasons it's great for beginners. There's a hook, and then it ends with a resolution, and then there's a midpoint, and then there's plot turn 1 and 2, and pinch 1 and 2. And the template will explain what a plot turn and what a pinch is. But it's a really simple one to start with. The next one I want to show you is the action adventure plot. And this one is great because it's simple and easy to follow. You can just picture a movie from looking at the beat titles. So the hero's circumstance, he receives a mission, begins towards the goal, travels to exotic location, encounter the damsel, encounters the henchman, there's a chase, complications, he gets assistance, they infiltrate the fortress, he's captured, a narrow escape, attain the goal, then they battle the henchman, battle the villain, there's a plot twist, resolution, and a conclusion. So this one you can just picture any action movie playing out when you see this, and so that makes it very simple because you can see it in your head. It's very action focused, not really character driven. And so if you're writing that kind of a book, this is probably the perfect one for you. The next one I want to show you is a classic, The Hero's Journey. And we also have a twist on it called The Heroine's Journey. And this one is just, everybody knows this one, everybody learns this one. That's why it's a good one to mention. It starts with the ordinary world and the call of adventure. The hero refuses the call, there's a mentor, and then it ends with bringing back the elixir, right? And the heroine's journey actually is similar to that, but it's a little bit longer. And we've broken it down into 4 acts. Now, the next one I want to show you is a little bit different. This is called Story Genius, and it comes from a book by Lisa Cron called Story Genius. And I love this one because it is comprehensive, it is very character driven. It was mind blowing when I read this book, and I love the way that she thinks about story. It is a long process, and it's more involved for sure, but it'll get you through writing the whole book. And this one's a little bit different. So it's more about the pre-writing and thinking through the why of your character, and that informs the scenes that you need to write later on. So you're thinking about their backstory and their why, and so a lot of it has to do with the pre-writing and thinking through the character's backstory. And so this template doesn't really tell you write this scene, do this scene. It's less of a paint by number and more of a process. And so you also have space for different scenes that you're working on. So these are like lists of scenes that you're working on. And there is a scene template that goes with this one that is a very specific way to think about your individual scenes and what you need for those scenes. And then we have a second template about the Story Genius, which I'll show you here back in my templates example file. So this is a separate template within Plotter called pre-writing. It's a Story Genius pre-writing, and this takes you kind of step by step of what to do and how to figure out your story. And then eventually it'll get you through writing scenes in your story and how to figure out what scenes you need to write. Okay, the last one I want to show you is called the 3-story method. And I like this one because it helped me out in a story that I was working on. And it makes you think of a 3-act story as 3 separate scenes, as 3 separate stories. That each story should have a satisfying beginning, middle, and end. So Act 1 has a conflict, a choice, and a consequence. And that's the end of that story. And it's a self-contained story. And so then Act 2 is similar. It's a little bit longer, but there's also a conflict, obstacles, a choice, and a consequence. And that should be a satisfying story within just Act 2. And then Act 3, again, a conflict, a choice, and a consequence. And they're building on each other, of course, and they work together with each other. It's not three separate stories, but it makes you think of them in that way where each one has to have a satisfying ending and lead into the next one. So if you're a beginner trying to figure out which template to use in Plotter, I would actually recommend you go with the 7-point plot structure. It's a very simple way to think about your story and to get going quickly. And we have some videos on our YouTube channel about how to use this template specifically to write your story in an hour. Jennifer Sneed made a video for us about that, and so you can find that template. You can find that video and use that template. But this is the one I recommend to get started with. But you can explore the other ones and all the templates in Plotter to your heart's content, but don't let it stop your writing. Make sure you write that book and don't let the amount of templates or the different types of templates entice you.